start doing the PowerPoint instead. So, who are we? We are a Swedish-based company. We're located in Stockholm. We were founded in 2019, so we are a relatively young company, but both me and Magnus have been working in this industry for close to 10 years each now. So we have a broad background of the forensic market and the customer needs out there. And that is actually one of the reasons why we decided to found Forensic One, because we saw that there was a little bit of a gap on the market where nobody wanted to really fill that space. So we're focusing on mainly investigators, but of course the tool is also useful for forensic examiners. So what have we done? Well, we've built a platform where we now have launched one product, which is called the Case Investigator, which we're going to look at today. And we've tried to make something that is easy to use for an investigator, because we know they are not always receiving the same amount of training and knowledge as digital examiners do. But we also try to do a platform that is open, which means that we can easily connect with other sources or other tools or other applications on the market. So we have a fully open platform with a fully open API, and is built to enable collaboration, because we know that both on the investigation side, but also on the tool side, you need to collaborate with all different stakeholders. So we've taken that into account. So what is the Case Investigator? Well, it's a standalone software running on Windows, standard Windows computers. The application is built on modules, meaning we have a fully open API, and we can basically interconnect with anything by creating new models. We've also taken a persona-based approach on the tool, meaning we're putting the persons in the center, because we all know that devices or computers don't commit crimes. It's actual people owning those devices that commit the crime. So we're taking an approach of center all the information around persons instead of devices. The key thing, on the other hand, with the tool is that we can ingest reports from multiple tools. So if you're working with tools from many different manufacturers, you can take those reports and you can aggregate it into one solution where you can have everything, no matter if it's a computer or mobile phone extraction, you will have it in one solution. And no matter the tool, all the data will always be presented in the same way. We've tried to dumb down the user interface so it's easy to use without losing any of the required or powerful features, so that it's suitable for investigators, not to leave the examiners out. And in the end, when you're working with all these multiple reports, you will be able to create one final report that you can take to court, instead of generating reports from multiple tools that you then have to combine manually into Word. You can do that already in this solution. And that's it for the actual PowerPoint. Now I will stop the slides and I will share my screen. Oh, sorry. I think I lost it. Share. Now you should be able to see it.
Yep, we're good.
Perfect. So I'll maximize the window so it's a little easier to see. So this is the Case Investigator. This is what you see when you're starting up. And I'm going to show you the first steps of creating a case. We're not going to run that case through because we're going to reopen an already existing one. But I'm going to do that so you get a little bit of understanding of how we're working with deduplicating different information. So I'm going to start and select create a new case. And there are a few mandatory steps you need to do. You need to create or give it a name. I'm going to just call this one Teal Demo for now. The second thing you need to do is you need to add data sources to your case. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to grab some X or Y extractions that we have. And as soon as I add one extraction, the tool will create one person, attach one device, and attach this extraction to that device. And what I can do now is I can add multiple extractions to a device, or I can add secondary devices. But I'm going to go and select a secondary extraction. What we're telling the tool now is that we have this device, which is currently just named device 1, but I'm going to call this one, let's call it iPhone 6 Plus for now. But I'm also telling the system that we have 2 forensic reports coming in, connecting to this device. These extractions could be either coming from MSAB, from Cellebrite, from Magnet, or any other tool for that matter. But they can be, of course, logical, they can be physical. We don't really care. We're taking them in and saying that all this information belongs to this device, and this device belongs to this person. If I want to, I can add new devices, or I can add more people to the case if I want to. And this way I can build up the case structure before even starting ingesting the actual data. I'm going to leave the case wizard for there. If I want to start working with it, I can simply select start processing, and it will import all the relevant information into the case. But I'm going to say close, and I'm going to open up an existing case. And it's actually the same for forensic reports that we were looking on before. I've done the same thing. I added one device with 2 extractions. And what you're seeing when we have opened up this is that on the left side, we have what we call the investigation menu. And you will immediately see an evidence tree where you will see all the different types of artifacts that has been added to this case. And I can see that there are calls, there's messages, there's files, pictures, different internet artifacts, location items, etc. All these are coming from these 2 extractions. In this case, there was only one device with 2 extractions. But I could go in and I can say, I want to look at the different extractions and say, I have the 2 different ones. So I would have 2 different extraction or artifact trees for these ones. And I can look at them individual. Pretend that we had a very important high-profile case and you were doing a phone extraction. And you did this in both let's say Magnet and Cellebrite, and you're ending up with maybe millions of artifacts, and it's really, really difficult during an investigation to know what are the differences between these 2 extractions, because we all know that they are not presenting the exact same result. One tool might be better on some things, the other tool might be better on other things, and that causes a problem for an investigator. If you have, let's say, 10,000 messages in that device in extraction A, and you have 10,001 extractions in extraction B, you only know that there is one more in the second one. You don't know that the other 10,000s are the same. So you have to go through 20,001 messages to be sure that you have gone through all the evidence. But what we automatically do in Case Investigator is minimizing that work. So in the investigation menu, we have an option called extraction diff or deduplication. And that generates an artifact tree with only the items that are not the same in two, or it could be more, in all those extraction belonging to that device. So saving you thousands of messages to go through. You could talk hours or even weeks of work that you can reduce. And just to show you real quick, if I go on to browser history, for example, I can see that there are two items, and they only exist in one of the devices. I can see in the detail window that this one belonged to the file called modified, and the other one belonged to the one not called modified. It's obviously modified on purpose by me for this demo. But you will always be able to see the traces. So if you find a deleted message, you will see, okay, I found this on extraction A coming from tool A, but it was missing in tool B. So that is one of the key things we can do. We can minimize all these workload. And we're doing it, sorry, 1 second. We're also doing it on the fact that we're reducing the workload not only by removing everything that's the same on multiple extractions, we're also deduplicating automatically items, so you only have to look at them once. And the easiest way to look at this is to simply just go to media items and go to pictures. And when I start browsing through here, I can see that some of these items have a little icon on them, indicate they're multiple copies. And if I just select one of these items and I look in the detail window on the right, I can see that there's actually 6 different versions of this image appearing throughout this investigation. And by using the arrow buttons, I can simply go through them, and when I browse through them, I see that, okay, they appear in different places with different name, but the file is actually the same. So it's an easy way for you to minimize, especially when you're working with images or files, to reduce the number of items you have to go through. What you can do is also to filter to see only items with duplicates. Or you can say, I only want to see items without, we didn't have anyone without duplicates, of course, because we had the same extractions twice. But this is a very nice way where you can minimize the amount of work you need to do. So where do you have actual need for this? Well, I gave you a couple of examples already. You might have an important case and you're doing extractions with multiple tools, but you might also use one tool, but in order to get all the information, you need to do both a logical and physical extraction. But what you know exactly when you're doing this is that some items will appear twice in the case, and that will automatically be removed now. The third thing we're doing, which I find kind of amusing, is that if you're using some of the tools out on the market and they release a new version, whenever they are redecoding their the forensic extraction, they don't know themselves what has changed between the 2 different versions. But with our tool, if you ingest the original one and the redecoded one, we will be able to tell you what has changed between these 2 redecodes. So I would say that is the biggest advantages of implementing deduplication in a tool like this. I know that we are on 17 minutes now, and we were told to be on 15. So I will stop there, and I will see if we do have any questions.
Yeah, Sasa had a question, and Magnus gave an answer. I don't know if you want to just expand on it. Just, is the tool capable to import Celebrate UFDR and CDR in HTML form?
So that is excellent question. So to let you know a little bit about the format, we're expanding all the time the formats. We're currently supporting Celebrate reports in format of UFDR and their XML reports. So you can use either or. I would go with the UFDR because it's easier. We are supporting XRY with their extended XML. We are supporting the Magnet review reports. We also added, I would say it's a limited support for EO1, LO1, DD, and RAW in this version that we just released. We are supporting CSV files. So if you have CDRs, you can do it through a CSV file. Currently it has to be formatted in a standard that we support. We haven't implemented the full variety of CDRs because we know there's so many out there. So we have a standard that you actually have to convert to in order to ingest it. We also added support for Project Vic in this release. I just wanted to add that as well. Upcoming releases, we will improve the support regarding the computer formats, and we will add support for Oxygen as well. So that's the formats we're working on currently.
All right. Why don't we just give about 10 more seconds for anyone else who may have any additional questions about the tool. Let's see. All right. Any final comments, Magnus? Or sorry, Michael?
I have no final comments. I would like to thank you all for joining today, and I hope you find it interesting. And please contact Teal Technologies if you would like to have a trial license of the software, or contact me or Magnus directly. We will be more than answer any questions if you have them.
Yeah, Jesse actually has another question.
All right.
What is the main thing that separates this tool from other similar tools?
So I would say that the main thing is that, first of all, we're working with multiple data sources, which there are other tools that does, but many of them are vendor biased, as I would like to tell them. You have a vendor on the market that says, let's incorporate vendor B and C's formats into our tool. That naturally creates a biased situation where you will never implement the data from your competitors' tools as much as you do your own. So that's one other thing. The second I would say is that we have a very different approach on how we interact with the customers. We are not doing a tool that we want customer to use. We want to build a tool that customer asks us to build. So we work highly close with customers, and we want to implement the features and function they're asking for, not the ones that developer thinks are fun to create and maybe not be useful in the end. We actually had a project in the end of the year that we started working on, but when we started asking around for customers, everybody said, don't implement that because it's not something that's useful for us. I don't know, Magnus, do you have anything you want to add into that? Maybe he can't use his mic.
Yeah, he was texting me. He said that he was having difficulties. Maybe he can chip in through text. What are some just common features that people have asked for?
Sorry? Say it again.
Yeah, sorry. What are some features that people have asked for that you're able to implement?
So I would say the most common thing is support for more formats, to be honest. That's the most common request. Besides that, there are two other main feature requests, which is timeline and link analysis or relations, whatever you want to call it. And these are the two biggest features that is currently in production and will be released. Some of it will be released in Q2, and some of it will be released probably in Q3.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then Jerry, I see that there was messages in the file tree. Does it separate the different messaging apps, i.e. WhatsApp, Messenger, Snapchat?
Yes and no. So the difference here, what we're taking as an approach is that we're putting all the communication between persons in context. So just to give you an idea, if I start texting Magnus and we're using WhatsApp, after maybe 20 messages, Magnus gives up and he calls me up and he said, it was too much texting. Let's just talk it over the phone. And in the end, he says, could you just email the document we had yesterday? And I email it to him. And that's basically how we all communicate today. We are not doing it on one specific way, using only WhatsApp, only iMessage, only phone calls. We're doing everything. So when we're looking at communication threads, we're looking between, okay, person A to person B, how are they communicated? And we will put everything into one conversation thread. Then, of course, if you want to see, everything is shown, so you can see, okay, this was a message sent through WhatsApp, or this came through Line, or this was through iMessage. All that is there, and you can, of course, filter on a specific application as well if you want to. So all that is there, but we're trying to put it down to make it easier. And I can tell you by experience that we've seen this in reality, talking to investigator, that when they're using some tools, they don't realize that they don't see the WhatsApp messages under SMSs. And they might have been working that way for a long time without knowing, oh, the messages are spread out in 4 or 5 different places within this application. It's hard for me to know, and now I can not see everything in context. That's why we chose to do it in a different way.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I think we can go ahead and wrap this up.
Yep.
Michael, Magnus, I'd like to thank you guys for having this presentation with us here today and contributing to T4. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and we will get in touch with you with what presentation is next week. Thank you very much, and have a good time.
Yeah, thank you.